Welcome to the Sirens of the Mother podcast, a place where we wax lyrical about all things mother, from the divine to the downright dirty. And it's my pleasure to have you here as we cut through the noise and distortions of our current narratives. So welcome to another episode of Sirens of the Mother. And boy, am I so juiced up to introduce you to Devi Maisha. Just before we got on the call, I was just saying how she is one woman I am so grateful I got to meet in present time in person. Um, yeah, because your presence and your essence is just so it's like honey to me. Feels like nectar, a remembrance, an honouring of being in a black body as a woman. And yeah, I deeply just appreciate you. And I'm so grateful that you said that you'll come on. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Mm. Mm. I am so juiced up. I mean, this feels like it's been in the making for a long time. And as you
Yeah.
were saying, that you're on one side of the world, I'm on the other, and we're just going to
Yeah.
send out this wave to the women that need to hear it. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. So let me just introduce Devi Maisha is a transformational guide, and she's the visionary behind Black Lotus Tantra, which offers a unique perspective on Tantra around sacred sexuality, sensuality, and offers ancient wisdom to empower women, especially Black women, to break free from oppression and claim their birthright and stand erect fully in their power. And there's so much more I could say about Devi, but we're just going to go in because I feel this energy like bubbling and yeah, just really wants to be spoken.
Yeah. 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 I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So why don't we just drop in and look at what it really means to be a full-bodied, faceted woman in this day and age? Because we've both been through our own journeys, healed trauma, ancestral lineage, ancestral wounding, and come to a place now where we're really standing in, I call it like an erotic, innocent impulse
Mm,
of life. It
mm,
is like the energetics that created life,
yeah.
that came through mother and woman, and is now so ready to, I think, have an explosion out in the world
Yes.
because we need to reclaim this energy. It's the life force that made us. And it is the energy that, so many women get distanced from, which we'll talk
Mm.
about more, especially in the Black community around religion. And so, yeah, just tell people a little bit of your path, how you got there, because I know it's quite poignant.
Yeah. So and I'm trying to find a way always to condense the story a little bit, but the basic story is that, like many women, I was taught to be a people pleaser. I was taught to center men. I wasn't taught to understand my worth, my value outside of that. And so I went through my life, especially as an eldest child, eldest girl child, making sure everyone else was okay, but never thinking about what I needed, and found myself in an unhealthy marriage. Which I really, that's when I really began to do the work, because I was trying to figure out, how can I fix this?
Mhm.
And okay, what do I need to do internally? And after that, divorce led me on a path to understanding that who I was wasn't wrong or bad. There were other women out there who were sensual and who had this energy. There were other Black women out there who were sensual and had this energy. And it just, I don't want to say it came to me, but it was really revealed to me that part of my path was to be an example of this and to be a space for this, for other Black women to discover this for themselves and what it looked like for themselves. So that's the short journey.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you kind of said, I don't want to say it called you, but I do believe it
Yes.
calls us because there
It
is an
is.
ancient remembrance of doing this in, other lifetimes and bringing that wisdom through in such a potent way. And I know that you're just, well, can we say just birthed a new thing, but it feels like it's a
I
new
did.
iteration of what you're bringing forward, particularly around Tantra. And I
Yeah.
spoke about Black Lotus Tantra, and I'd love you to
Yeah.
speak about what that is because it feels so juicy and potent. My feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing that I've been hiding from I cannot tell you how many years. You know how that is. It's like, and I tell people it's like if you've ever seen Jumanji, the game calls you, right? You keep hearing this beat and it calls you to play. And I was like, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that game. And with everything that happened, especially in the United States, with our election, it was so loud.
Hmm.
I was literally shut down for months from November to maybe February. I was completely like battery power off. And that generally happens during the winter, but this year there was so much more happening.
Hmm.
And it was like, no, it is time. And so Black Lotus Tantra is I've studied sacred sexuality and tantra for decades, and this is specifically designed for Black women's bodies, for the trauma we've gone through, for our lineage, for our separation of self between religion, society, and culture. And it is for Black women. I know other Black women who are also teaching Tantra, who have their own schools or institutes, and they are amazing, and I love them. And I've learned from each one of them. Their communities are open to men, to women, to LGBTQ plus IA, which I think is amazing because everyone needs a space.
Yeah.
But I wanted a space that was for Black women. That's the path that I travel. It's the path I know. And so that's what this form of Tantra is designed for us to reclaim that essence, that remembering, that ancestry, the fact that we are the blueprint, that we carry mitochondrial DNA, that we are the creators of all life on this planet, and that our sensuality, our sexuality, that life force energy is God. And so that's what Black Lotus Tantra focuses on for Black women.
Because I think there is something when you were mentioning then that there are other spaces, and it may look like you're just being exclusive, but it's not about exclusivity, as
No.
in there is a specific medicine that a Black
Yes.
woman's body brings, and that
Yes.
also that Black women need to receive from a Black woman. There is
Yes.
no getting around that, and it's just what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um, I've been feeling that bubbling a lot more in the field because there is specific wounding to Black women
Yes.
that is not with other women. And
Yeah.
I've really been feeling that in the collective rising to be felt and witnessed and brought into cohesion and um, really understood from us in our bodies, but from other women in other bodies too, because otherwise we're going to perpetually be stuck in the wounding. And it's like,
Yes.
we've got to put our big pants on now.
Yeah.
Our big girl pants on. That's how I see it now, and like really get into the nitty-gritty roots of where this has come from. Because when the body of Black woman was annihilated and desecrated, it broke the fabric of humanity.
Yes.
It broke it.
Whew.
You cannot wound the image of God,
Mm.
the women that came from the original codes of creation, and expect the fabric of life to stay intact. It's just not going to happen. And so this may seem elitist right now, but it is what it is. It's been proven by, if you want to say, science,
Right, right.
that everyone originated out of Africa, if you want to
Right.
call it that land also. And so it's like we're just being real. We're just being
Yeah.
honest with the process of why we've been stuck for so long as a collective. And the feminine is like, now, the divine mother is like, nah, no more. We haven't got time for this anymore. It's like, let's just get to the table. Let's put it on the table and let's just get it cleared.
Yeah, let's say the things. And I think that one of the things that's been happening with this, so I came upon this, like I've always been involved in spiritual communities. And
Mm,
here in the States, I feel like Black people have always been behind the curve with it because we've still had so much of the colonialism and Christianity that
mhm,
was guiding us. It's because it's all we knew.
mhm,
Right? When you kidnap a people and you take them someplace else and you strip them of their name, their religion, and their culture, now all they know is what their oppressor gave them. And
mhm,
it becomes the standard. It becomes the standard out of fear. It becomes the standard out of habit. So I've always been in spaces where people were searching for spirituality, but there were not a lot of us there, certainly not a lot of me there. And over time, I began to see that while it's beautiful that people are finding their way into spirituality, finding their way into their feminine energy, their goddess energy, I noticed that Black women were still stuck. And I firmly believe that this world is not going to shift. It's not going to change until we own our power.
mhm,
I don't care who else is dancing naked in the woods. I don't care who else is lighting bonfires. It is important to do that work,
mhm,
but it's not going to shift. The train is not going to turn the way it needs to turn
mhm,
until we understand who we are.
mhm,
Everything that you said, I think, is so relevant. And I think the conversation has been avoided, especially for I've been in so many of those spaces. I didn't want other women to feel some kind of way, and I want to be diplomatic, but they know the truth because I see white women kind of looking like, what are you guys gonna do? Like you what if you tell us what we're doing and we're gonna kind of do it. They're not saying it, but they're energetically, right? They're waiting for it. And we're kind of like, man, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, no,
mhm,
here's what we do. Right. And so this conversation needs to be had. It's just
mhm.
like you said, it's the reality.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for women like you that are forging the way for me because I've been in your spaces a few times and like just soaked in that and I didn't even recognize what it was I needed until I was in a space with all Black women and it was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening to me? I am unraveling here and feeling things that I didn't know were there around not being fully seen as a Black
Yeah.
woman and not really being able to, like you said, share the full story of my history because it's not recognized in those spaces or not clear. And like you said, on like, let's not talk about that. We don't talk about that here. Kind of thing. And so, and it's only just really like cleared out of me in the last few months when I had to write two pieces for my publisher around being a Black woman in white
Mm,
spaces and what we
mm.
can bring to spaces as a Black woman.
I love that.
And oh my God, those pieces work me to the bone. They'll be out in an anthology in November. So it's been a long time coming and I am so grateful I've had that opportunity to speak that. But like I said, it worked me because codes that were coming up that were so ancient around, like you said, the shackling of our bodies and just the like the blindness to what has happened. And in those space, it was like, how have I not seen this fully in its full entirety, or how have I not felt that? And how has nobody else? Why is nobody else? Why we're not talking about it? Like you said. And so now I just feel like it's ready to lift the full veil and step into the full thing and recognize that, to me, to you, to the rest of humanity, that so many of the stories we've heard around potent figures like God, Mary Magdalene, blah blah blah. These women were black. Let's
Yes.
the Black Madonna is also black, which is worshipped in the church. It's like, can we just get to the thing and feel the thing that's not being said in the field and
Yes.
acknowledge um, that that's where creation comes from because it's kind of been warped. Black has become a or the void or what this dark is scary and blah, 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 or just so many connotations around it. But it's like it is the primal pulse of life,
Yeah,
you know?
it is. It's the womb.
Yeah.
And so when people are talking about returning to the feminine and feminine energy and going into the dark, it's like, okay, well, what if you sh- take out the word dark and say going into the black, right? And how does that shift in all the spaces, right? That you're going into the black womb, right? The black mother in order to be rebirthed. Because we
Hmm.
hear it in all of the spaces. We understand if we're going into the down, we understand
Hmm.
that that means we're having to go through
Hmm.
this darkness, this blackness. And
Hmm.
that is us.
Yeah. Into the underworld, the dark,
Right.
as in, but also into the womb. And when you get there, it's not black, as in dark. It's so
Right.
nourishing and life-giving. It's like soil. You're going
Yes.
into the soil of life underground rather than the underworld, underground to get plug into the full nourishment that we are longing for in
Yes.
humanity.
Yes.
And so we have to face all those places where that has been inverted to mean
Yeah.
something that we denounce, run away from, look at as less than demeaning, whatever it is. It's like it's over
Yes.
because that is the
Yes.
original code of humanity, and that's where
Yes.
we are going back to. So it's like we're going there whether you want to or not. Um, well, that's how I've been told by the mother. It's like we're all going there, aren't we? So let's just get on the bus instead of being
That's
dragged by
right.
the
That's
bus.
right. That's
Let's
right.
stop fighting for the collective field that is being dismantled right now.
Yes.
And yes, it feels dark, and yes, it feels gnarly, but there is a reason for that.
Mhm.
There is a reason for that because it's forcing us to go in and feel
Yes.
and look
Yes.
at where we've held distortion. And
Yes.
it's just time to release
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
And it is through the body. I mean, I remember writing a post and it said the body is the living library. And I remember you messaging me and going, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. Get the downloads from that. But it's true. And I know you help women to get into their body. So do you want to say a bit about how you do that around with the Tantra and your philosophy
Sure.
and sensuality?
Yeah, sure. And the first word I always say is slowly because it's like if you've ever unraveled a necklace,
Mhm.
and you try to it just gets tighter.
Mhm.
You literally have to painstakingly kind of find the thread
Mhm.
and slowly just through your fingers try to help it to loosen up gently. And that's really the most important part because Black women's bodies often don't even realize what they're holding on to because we haven't had the space to explore it.
Mhm.
So we cannot just dive in to, I like to say I teach sex magic, but we can't just dive into sex magic without beginning to unravel those strands of trauma, whether we've experienced them in our own life, as I have, we've experienced them through our mothers and grandmothers' wombs, as many of us did. And so, really slowly is the first thing. And then it's really just about the five senses and and noticing how clothing feels, how food tastes. Certainly here in the US, our society is so go, 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 do it fast, do it. It should have been done yesterday. That I've had clients who just to eat for 10 minutes was a lot.
Hmm.
It's too long, because we're eating on the go or we're scarfing down food. We can finish a meal in 5 minutes.
And make it
So,
in 5 minutes. You know?
yeah, you know, and so it's just learning to slow down and then recognizing the sensations that are beginning to come up. And so I'm running a group right now, and the women are really exploring shame and the
Mhm.
shame messages that we've been given. And how does that feel in the body? And where do you feel it in your body? Right? And then eventually we're going to get to breath work, but it's even just recognizing it. But I do it through, it's slow, it's breath work, it's touch, it's sensory, so that the women start to feel their own sensations, not the sensations that they were told to feel,
Mhm.
or the many sensations they blocked in order to just survive and get through the day, get through life, but just begin to feel everything. So it's really a thawing process that I teach Black women.
Yeah. And like you say, it's so necessary to go slow and
Yeah.
gently and to feel and to stop the forward motion, to be able to rest back as a Black woman. Rest is like the like holy
Whew,
order, you know.
it is.
It is
And
the
rest, actual rest.
actual rest, not just thinking about it, but actual rest. Yeah, it's so necessary. Yeah, we've got a lot to feel. Today, when I
Yeah.
was like sitting with, what wants to come through and just kept getting visions and visions of just all the things that we've had to endure. And in particular in the medical world,
Mm,
where gynecology came from the abuse of Black women's bodies and just, yeah, the benefit of what that's done to the world. And no one looks at that like it came from abuse. Let's just say,
yeah.
and like it's now a thing, and just so many things like that were like in my mind, and I was just like releasing them and just feeling them, and just really understanding that process. Like you say, it has to be really slow because I don't think um, it's really acknowledged the suffering that's in our ancestral lineage. That a
Mhm.
lot of the things that happened and are celebrated now came through our pain and
Yes.
torture.
Yes.
And for a Black woman to feel the depth of that, it has to be slow and it has to be held in sacred space, in yeah, such an honouring. And I know you call your space a temple because it is. We
It
are
is.
honouring the women that enter there. And so, do you want to say a bit more for people that might not understand why you say that? And I know I'm a sacred sexual priestess and I
Yeah.
see you as the same. So, do you want to just clarify a bit for women that may want to come, but then they hear those words like a temple? What do you mean? Where am I
And,
going?
and and so for the women who are listening, I actually want to encourage them to feel the frequency and the vibration of the words and
Hmm.
do that for this whole entire
Oh, the whole
presentation,
entire thing.
right?
Yeah.
Feel how it makes your body feel, because we'll get caught up in words up here, but I
Hmm.
want people to feel how the remembrance in the body.
Hmm.
Um, so we're in this, you and I are very much in this space. I had a dream some years ago, and it was so clear and vivid. There's no I will never forget it. I was about 12, maybe somewhere between 11, 12, 13 years old in a desert area, and I was with my friend. She was maybe a year or two older than me, and this was so long ago. And we've got our baskets and we've got our hijab, our wrap on, and we were out. I'm not sure what we were doing, what we were gathering, but we were called back in by the headmistress of the school we were in. And so we go into these doors that look like, if you think about Egypt, like the stone. We go in, we go down these stairs, we go through a tunnel. And on as you come in, as you go through the tunnel, there's a courtyard. And there are all these girls our age, like between 11 through like 16 years old. And we're all learning these sacred arts of energy work, sex
Mhm.
magic, sciences. And so my friend and I were playing, for a while, and the day goes on. But what struck me most was the teacher. She goes to have this conversation. There are these three men that are coming in as we're going in. They're coming in on camels, and they speak to the teacher, and she points to my friend, and we're wondering what they're talking about. But the next day, my friend was gone. In this dream, my friend was Mary Magdalene.
Mm.
And I was like, where did she go? And she had been sent to work. It's even now, it's like making me, she had been sent to work with Yeshua,
Mm.
right? That was her mission, but it was a secret mission. And so none of us could know. So when I had that dream, when you talk about doing things for lifetimes,
Mhm.
it was so, people will look at that and go, that's crazy. It's not. It was so real, and
Mhm.
it was very clear to me that it was part of my journey to bring back these arts, the
Mhm.
things that I've learned over lifetimes of being. And so it is a sacred space. It is a temple. But the thing is where some people are really trying to teach it like we lived back then. We don't live back then. So it was then the challenge for me was these are the teachings that are in my bones and my blood. But this is the human lineage that I come through of that I know of enslavement, right? And this pain body that I'm carrying. And so how then to make this more modern for
Mhm.
women in this society, in this world, and allow them to see that they have these same tools within them, and
Mhm.
that they can utilize these tools to break free from chains of oppression and repression, and really own all of that power, that colonialism, that racism, that all the isms have said that doesn't belong to you. It's not yours because your body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to us.
Mhm.
And so that's the space that I am creating, where there is no dogma. I'm
Mhm.
not teaching you a way to
Mhm.
be feminine, a way to be a woman. I don't have all these rules that you find in some places. It's, what does this look like and feel like for you in this world that we are currently living in?
Mhm.
So that's how my space is run and is
Mhm.
curated for the women who are ready to own all of it and be responsible
Mhm.
for
Fully,
that power. Yeah.
fully. It is about self-responsibility and
Yeah.
self-autonomy. It's like you say, we don't bring you be woman this way.
Right.
Each is unique, and you are bringing a unique flavor of your lineage to them to rest in, to unfold and unfurl in, and to find the nuggets and the truth within themselves. And I think one of the turning points for me, because I had to let go of my space completely. Um, and then, like you, had a periods of stillness, and now it's coming back into order. As in, a lot of the lineage that I rested my work on was Tantra through um, like the Asian Indian lineage.
Hmm.
And then it
Hmm.
was like, mother was like, get over here. That ain't your lineage, girl. Get over. Yeah, and having to really dig deep and discover the origins of Tantra coming from Africa and being taken to the lands of India. And I know that's
Hmm.
what you rest your work on now. So do you want to say a bit
Yes.
more about that yourself? um
Yes, because
come through for you.
yes, because I didn't, who would know, right?
Yeah, who
I
would know?
started on because it's never known. I will tell you this, one of the reasons why I want to visit Europe, there's a couple of reasons, but Europe, like France and England and Spain have such a large catalog of African history that they took
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that the only way for me to really see more of my history is to go there.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, but unless they bring the exhibit here for a short time. But so when I was younger and studying, like the Kama Sutra, all I just was like, "Ooh, India.
Hmm.
Oh my God, like they're so lucky. Like it must be such an open country, until I met women from India who were like, absolutely not. We are extremely repressed." And I was like, well, what happened? And so then I was like, well, that's not it. And then Asian culture, reading
Hmm.
books about the geishas and there are two books that I have here that I cannot remember their titles, but I always recommend them. They talk about sex magic, and I'm just like, and Taoism. I'm like, oh my God, yes. Until you talk to people who, like live in Asian countries and some of them specifically, and it's like, that is not what's happening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff
Hmm.
that was once the freedom has just been taken over.
Hmm.
Power corrupts, right? But as I was studying Tantra, and I told myself I wouldn't study Tantra until I could really study with Black people.
Hmm.
Because I saw Tantra here in the States. It was very much neo-Tantra. It
Hmm.
was very much focused on sex, which,
Yeah.
hey, not a problem. But this body did not feel comfortable with white men. And I did not feel safe with white women. And so I knew that if I was going to embark on something like that, it had to be where there was some semblance of safety. And so I waited until I could study with Black folks. Still had some issues there. My own personal safety, they still had some issues because we don't have a complete understanding of what Tantra is.
Hmm.
But I studied with them and I studied with some other folks. But in my studies, it was like, oh, so this was on the this was in West Africa. This was in Egypt. This was Cleopatra, right? This was in South Africa. This was in Rwanda. This was in Zambia. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I never knew that because it would almost make it seem like it started in India with the chakras and then, boom, that was that. But no, it was the people who came up through as they migrated, who came up through the Indus Kush Mountains and the Dravidians, dark, dark, almost blue black,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful people in southern India who they are or came originally from the continent of Africa and brought those practices with them. And as things do over time, they shift and adapt. The culture shifts and adapts. But the origins of all of it was from Africa. And again, it was a reminder that it would seem as though nothing was going
Mhm.
on that continent until things happened in Eurasia. And really understanding that led me down a path of um reading a book when God was a woman, then a book when God was a Black woman, another book, Black Woman as God, and really just like holy shit, and then piecing it all together, working through the anger,
Mhm.
right, of me not having this knowledge, of my mother not having this knowledge, and saying, oh no, this is something now that I'm screaming it from the rooftops, and people are just gonna have to be
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah. Or remember, because I write a little bit about it in my book to give context of how it took me that I had to let go of everything to reclaim everything.
Mm,
That flavor of Tantra that was brought there, like you said, isn't about sex. Well, for me, how I interpreted it was it's about connecting to life and the earth. They were so in sync with the earth and the land. And, I've just had
yes.
to hold back tears because every time I think of how that race of people were desecrated,
Yeah.
for that wisdom to be taken in that way,
Mm,
it was just, honest to God, my heart breaks because every time I close my eyes and feel that, I just see their beautiful, like black blue faces. Like,
yeah.
almost like coming up to me and like kissing me on the nose. Thank you for bringing this forward and remembering us, because like you said, when it got watered down through India and then brought to the West, it's, you know, let's extract everything else that's
Right,
to
right.
do with the mother, because they revered the mother, right? Because they
Right.
knew the mother. They revered them.
Yes.
Let's extract all that. Let's extract, the custodians of the land. Let's extract that Tantra is about being in union with life, with self, with each other, deep reverence for love, deep reverence for our potent sexual. Let's desecrate all that and just take the pleasure bit and then bring it to and turn it into some, thrill seeking
Yes.
thing when it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. And so again, it was like for me wanting to avoid that this is the truth and like put it to the side. But oh my God, mother was like, no, you got to put this in the book. Put this in the book. It needs to go out there. And then I'm like, oh, I won't talk about it until, the book's doing the summit. It's like, no, you got to talk about it now. Bring Maisha. Bring her.
I was gonna say I loved when you started talking about the mother.
Mm,
And I think
mhm,
I've told you this before. There's your presence is like it's like earth. It's like the land.
mm,
You are like a the solid tree with roots when I think about you. And it's like the roots are just going through the dirt, causing some upheaval, a little
mhm.
earthquake as it happens,
Yeah.
but important, to shift the
Mhm,
vibration, to shift the soil, if you will. But there's like this continued growth that happens for people to be able to come to the tree and to feel the depth of the energy that's coming up from the earth through. And whenever I think of you, whenever I see your posts, that is what hits me every single time. And when you talk about the mother, it's always a remembrance for me. Whatever day
mhm,
I'm having, I see the mother, I'm like, yep, let's go.
mhm.
Yep, let's get back to it. I'm so excited for your book.
Thank you so Thank you so much. It's like sometimes I'm like, I'm just doing a thing. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes because that primordial force that comes through
Yeah,
me, it's like, boom,
yeah,
it ricochets through me.
yeah,
And it's like, no, it goes out like this. It
yeah.
is the sound of creation. It
Yeah.
is the frequency of the mother calling us all back home to her bosom to remember we are not meant to be in scarcity. We are not meant to be less than anything. We are divine children of her and we are being brought back into her fold.
Mm,
This is the time. It's like,
mm.
when mama gets like, the children are like running around and being unruly, and then it's like that. No, like,
Right,
it's it's like in
right.
line. It's like listen to this sound. And sometimes it's like, is that coming through me? Really? And it's like, boy, did I have to grow some cojones to carry this energy? And did I get dragged down into the dirt? Hell yeah. But I absolutely would not want any other mission than to be on mission
Mm,
for the mother
mm.
because, I love humanity. I really do. And I've seen some dark places in humanity, trust me. Oh my God. But I still have always just felt that full impulse of life and of her, even though, I've cursed her out many a time, like, what did you drop me in? What is going on here? This was paradise. Man,
I have those
and
same
then
conversations.
yeah. And then just remembering that, oh, we are the torchlight. We are the thing that is here to get at the front to bring the light. And oh my God, it's taken me so long to want to get to the front and to own that as a signal because of all the healing that we've had to do, like we've spoken about ancestrally, especially being in a black body, because it was like I almost ign couldn't see that I was in a black body initially because I was raised in Britain, the
Mhm.
colonial capital of the world. And like, it's like that's what it's like an earth shit when you realize, oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
the like captor's like homeland. It's like, what's going on here? And just that sense of like then having to feel all that and unravel all
Yeah.
that and really get into the roots of why I was decided to be birthed here, you know,
Mm,
and and then claiming that as a sexual sacred priestess was like,
mm.
okay, we're on a different journey to the majority of people know here.
I see.
Let's embrace it um and do what we came to do,
Mm.
you know.
I want to ask you a question.
Mhm.
What is it like in Great Britain to claim that, and it's largely Protestant, right? Very, I don't know what the climate is, in 2025, but from what my understanding here is that Great Britain, England, all of that has a tendency to be a stoic, not very emotional. And
Mhm.
what is it like to be a sacred priestess, a sacred sexual priestess over there to bring the fullness of emotion and openness, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman,
Mhm.
where we're often feared when we are so expressive. At
Mhm.
least here we are. What is it like
Yeah,
for
it
you?
is pretty much the same, and this is what I was saying that I didn't realize how closed down I had become because it just became normal to always be in almost like protective mode of, oh,
Yeah,
don't be too big, don't be too loud, don't be
yeah.
seen as like the big part loud woman, and then now it's like, now that I'm going through that, it's like, oh, that is meant to be my position because it is
Yeah.
a clarion call. And
Mm,
I remember getting to a point last year of, yeah, towards the end of last year, so not really long, of another like layer of that coming off and losing some close friends that I really thought were allies,
mm,
and realizing that I had to let them go with love and just getting to that point of, oh, if I am the only one singing from this sheet, I will be the only one singing from this
yeah,
sheet. I am okay with that now. I
yeah,
can stand here and know that
yeah,
this is my call.
yeah,
And if people don't understand it or they think it's too much, or like you said, I'm shaking the ground too much and they're falling over or whatever else, it's
yeah.
like my footsteps are heavy because I can't.
Mm,
I walk as a holy embodiment of her. I can't
mm.
do it any other way because if I do, it fucks me up.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
messes with my body. I can go down if I'm not in integrity, if I'm not authentic, if I'm not saying the truth, if I'm holding back in any way, it reverberates straight back into me like a slap in the
yep,
face, and I can be taken out for days. And it's
yep.
like, I'm sorry, I can't do that to myself anymore because it's fucking painful. It
Yeah.
really, really hurts. And so I had to go through a whole process, like I said, of like getting in alignment with attuning to that sound and
Mm,
realizing that it upsets a lot of people
yeah.
because it reveals where there's not love.
Mm, mm.
And
Yeah.
often, even though I've been in women's embodiment and empowerment for a long time, in a lot of the circles I've been in, there's still a lot of lack of self-love.
Hmm.
And so when you embrace yourself fully, it can be confronting to others, especially
Mm,
like we said in a black body, because it's like a lot, people don't say it, but I feel it as, wait a minute, that's not your position. Where do you think you go? Hello? And it's like, but it is.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
be any other way. And I fought it for a long time and ended up having a near death because of it. And them being brought back and said, no, baby girl, this is the path.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's embrace
Thank you.
it. And yeah, and I'm no longer afraid, especially in this country. Like you said, it is a very it's a very strange country, actually, especially around sexuality. It's like, oh, we're very British. We don't talk about sex or sexual energy or anything like that. However, it's a very, unless it's almost like comedy like, unless it's like innuendo and, you know, a bit of how she feel. Like just really like cloaked in like really like either just really strange
Mm,
language around sexuality. And so I'm excited to see what happens with my book. Um, because I'm very direct and straight in it, especially around what I class as women, and that women need to get into their pussy power and women need to
yeah.
embrace their wombs and their voices and really stand firm as a woman and like, let's stop this notion that to be woman means whimsical or whatever it is. Woman is, oh my God, the heartbeat of life. Come on, let's get with the party.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like, let's remember this. And now, when I got to that point of I am the only one, it's like if I'm the only one, as soon as I stepped into that, it's like women like you started coming back into my fold, and I knew I
Mm,
wasn't alone in this, that we are all over the world
yes.
and we are singing
Yes.
this tune. And if we stick to our authenticity, we can hear each other and
Mm,
support each other and know that we're not doing this alone.
yeah.
You know,
Oof.
yeah.
That's powerful. Thank you for that. That
You're so
that
welcome.
was medicine. Was.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm grateful, and I said that at the beginning of this call for women like you that being a reflection for me to see that it's okay to speak out and loud and have a specific flavor to bring through,
Yeah.
you know, and I love the fact that you own that yours is specifically for Black women. Mine isn't. It is a clarion call that goes out for all
Yeah.
women, and it's taken me a long time to embrace that, but also to create spaces specifically for Black women because I am one and I need it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need it. I need it.
I think, and I think that that's the important piece, that that all of the voices are needed in such a different
Yeah.
way, that there is no one way that
Hmm.
we have to do this. I've struggled with the idea of having my space open to all women, and it just kept coming to me that half of it was because people kept telling me there's so much money over there, you make so much money.
Hmm.
But as much as I do enjoy wealth and what it can do for me, I wasn't called to this to fly in a private jet. I was called to this because it's what the planet needs at this time. So
Hmm.
I've struggled with that, but every time I thought about doing it, um, it was just a no. And so it was clear to me that that wasn't my path. And I see for many Black women that it is their path to work with, like I said, this population, that population, all the populations, in different ways. And my thing is, as long as the call is being put out and the healing is happening, because it needs to happen. And in some ways, it's beautiful when it does happen in spaces where there are different kinds of women to learn, to grow, to see the humanity that we all share, to take that back to their individual communities and hopefully have that grow there. is a beautiful thing. So I'm here for Black women who are being loud and bold and unapologetic, whoever they're working with, but who are working through themselves and then allowing themselves to just be the brightest light possible
Mhm.
for everyone else. That's what we need.
That's what we need, and that's what's coming. And I just want to say something here around because you said you weren't here to fly in private jets, but it's like Black women are the global majority when it comes to women. And
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
this carrying call goes out, will go out, and it's a seed and it's going to blossom and grow because I've seen the thing that it is needed, in a bigger scale. And it's taken me, like I said, growing into something to say, right, this is the call now.
Yeah.
This is the call, and I am bringing this woman forward to be a beacon, to be felt because I think there's this weird thing that goes on in the collective when we do this work, especially around money. And
Mm,
I'm just going through that myself, I'm
mm,
having to shake off like limitations around wealth and not charging enough for my work and all these crazy weird little things that I do. Um, and then the last couple of days, I was just shown this image of, girl, do you remember you used to wear gold? Be adorned in like golds and dunes and were adored in the temples, and you ran
yes,
an economy in the temples. Think of the churches now. It was wealth.
that's right.
And I had this image of being in temples as being this like scatty little thing where people brought bits of bread. Something like, and it was like, no, not that kind of temple, not
Yeah,
from
no,
here. You were in
right.
lavish lifestyles with gold
Yes,
and like pure water and people bringing and kings and queens coming to
yes,
counsel with you and so that you could disseminate information. You were in like
yes,
royal circles. It's like, can you get with lost with the beggar thing
yes.
going on? And so it's like, okay, let's remember that
Right.
status,
That's right.
particularly for Black women. Let's remember that status that we may
That's
have
right.
been then, all the stories that ended up where we became like cattle and slaves.
Yes.
It's like that story is over and it's only one part of the story. We come
Yes.
from an ancient lineage that was rich, abundant, fertile, you know, carried the seed of life. And, I'm just going through that this week and I'm taking the whole of next week off
Mm,
because, yeah, I've been just told, prepare, get ready,
mm,
get ready for a bigger iteration of self and,
mm,
yeah, the collective field of my ancestors and yours, and
mm.
just embrace that. Yeah.
I love what you said, and as you were talking, and for so many environmental reasons, I don't particularly want a private jet, but I do want first class.
Yeah, I
But
get what you mean, but you know what I
no,
mean.
no, yeah, yeah.
You're right.
But as you were talking, I could feel, and it has shifted. I could still feel the uncomfortability in my body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
you were talking, when you and I had never put it together before until you said it, but you're like, I still had this vision of me, just taking the crumbs of bread and I was like, and it was like, oh yeah. And it and it was like, yeah, that sounds about normal. Like my body was relaxed.
Hmm.
But then when you started talking about, no, you had gold in this, I could feel this tension
Hmm.
coming into my body, not as much as it used to,
Hmm.
but it's still there.
Yeah.
And this idea of, oh, oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
started to come. I could feel that. And so I really just sat with it and let it, as I'm listening to it, I sat with it and I was like, wow, the conditioning, that's so interesting. Because it doesn't feel like it fits,
Hmm.
but it's still in my body.
It's still in the body. And that's the thing I've been instructed. You need to take next week and really work this out of the system. Because, like you, it's like I can feel it as a not a truth, but it's still
Mm,
hardwired in my body because I'm really down in the cellular. So it's like, no, this is it has to leave now. And even as I'm
Mm.
saying that, there's quite a bit of grief and sadness
Yes.
and
Mm.
that I can feel wanting to emerge. And I know when I go in it, this is why I'm
Yeah.
taking the time to really
Mm.
feel it and alchemize it for me and the collective field, because to be honest, I didn't even know it was still there to that
Yeah.
extent, as in so hardwired in. And it's just time to, yeah, to really feel it and release it. And I think the main feeling I feel when I go in is just, it's just heartbreak.
Yeah. Mm.
It's heartbreak that I
Mm.
got to a point where, oh, we did as a collective of women, black brothers, to a point where, yeah, we were almost desecrated, seen as the less
Yeah.
lower than low.
Yeah.
It's just like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
As a humanity, really? And then we're walking around like we're not feeling the pain of that. Because even if it doesn't matter what body you're in, you're feeling the pain of that, as we've said, because we annihilated the mother. We put mother, whether it's cosmic mother or mother as an image of a human body, as the low of the low, to the point mothers are struggling here now, not revered, not loved, not honoured. Birth has just seemed like a mishap. There's no conscious, you know, consideration about what bodies are bringing through children, who's bringing through the children, how we're supporting that process, and like seed of the man being willy-nilly just shooting here, there, and everywhere. And I really want to get onto that since I've brought it up now, because it's like, let me just fix myself. Because it's like, oh boy, the tangled web that we have woven around the masculine and feminine and what order things are in and whatever else. Can I just remind people he's coming through strong? Can I
Oh,
just
I
remind
feel it.
people that the egg in the female body is the thing that selects the sperm?
That's right.
That in itself is something just to ponder on and really feel what that means. As in, one, women, your body is the signal of all life. Men, your seed holds the other side of the imprint that comes into life, comes into the female form, and is selected to birth life. It is not just something to discard, it is sacred fucking fluid. Sorry, I'm swearing, but it's like, can we
Please.
just get with this understanding of how sacred that is?
Mm.
And can we get over getting at each other? Because we need each other to bring through the form of creation.
Mm.
The electrics of the masculine were distorted.
Mm.
They have gone through as much pain as us. They are
Mhm.
not the patriarchy. They have been told a lie as well. They are carrying the wounds and the scars that they are being imprinted with around being predatory and having to go to war, to kill, to murder. They need us in our full glory as women so that they can begin to feel the ripples of that going out and remember all that is fucking bullshit.
Mm.
Not how they're supposed to live. They're supposed to be connected to their hearts.
Mm.
Their hearts, their penis, their prostate are meant to be in alignment, to bring up
Mm.
the energies from the earth, to bring in the energies of pure love and connect from there.
Mm.
And they have been told to exchange love for lust.
Mhm.
Their hearts disconnected from her bottom halves. And when we stand in our hearts, they can stand in their hearts. And I know there's so much wounding in the collective field that, there's just so much mudslinging from one to the other about who's to blame. There is no blame. We've all been hurt. And it's time to remember that we cannot do it without not with each other,
Mm.
because we need the electrics, the correct electrics of the male to be able to plug into the female, the positive
Yes.
pole and the negative pole. It's not, it needs to connect like that. And therefore, for that to find the right anchoring, the women have to be in right order and remember who they are so they can receive that and come to life, back to life, and do what we came to do, through our wombs. It's like it's just time now
Mm.
to just see things differently and have compassion and love and honor for one another.
Mm.
There is nothing to fix. When we sit in that remembrance, that energy alone shakes away the dross. Yes, we need spaces to process that and to be held through that, but there is nothing to fix.
Mm. Mm. That just opened up. I
Mm.
could feel like a wave, love, just wave, a band, just from front to back, open up in my chest, into my throat, into my jaw.
Mm.
I could feel that and expand out
Mm.
as you were speaking.
Thank you for that reflection. Because, yes, women's wombs, your pussy and your voice are so connected.
Yes.
And when we feel the truth through that, it opens us. When women say, I want to feel my full power, I want to feel the capacity of what I am, then turn in and feel and stop looking out and trying to blame, say that it's them out there. It doesn't matter who it was now. We're all in the soup and it's all getting shaken. What you need to remember is who you are now,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Who we are now. And I'm so grateful that I can speak that and have it reflected back to me that it is an instant opener when we do, as Maisha so kindly said at the beginning, feel what's being said. It's not a logical thing.
Yeah.
These women I have brought to this podcast have got a sound of the mother. I really see that in you and I honor that in you. And have it ringing out so that people can feel truth.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah.
So good. It's like
Isn't
sitting in
it?
a warm bath.
Yeah. It, I'll tell you something. It's been a lot learning to float in this, the
Oh,
warmth
yeah.
of the womb, of the cosmic womb of mother. And it's like, oh my God, it is so life-giving. When I had my near death and was brought into that field,
Mm.
oh my God, just feeling one drop of that love was just enough to like sober me up out of the wounding that I had, that I couldn't shake, that I thought I needed to take my own life.
Mm.
And it was just like that love just like held me and just said, I've got you.
Yeah.
I am here. I have always been here. It's
Yeah.
just that you got told you were less than.
Mm. Mm. I just, when I hear that, I think of, and as you were talking about us, men and women constantly coming for each other,
Mm.
really underneath that is fear. And it's this
Mhm.
fear of not experiencing that love. It's this
Mhm.
fear of not being loved.
Mhm.
And the antidote to that fear is the very thing that
Mhm.
everyone is trying to bring in, but is so afraid of that they're repelling it
Mhm.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's that love that you talked about. Like I just said, I feel it right now. But the thing is that it starts within us, as you said, it starts
Mhm.
within us first.
Mhm.
before, and just opening that in ourselves. And then because we've opened it in ourselves, we know what that frequency is, being able to receive it properly. This,
Mhm.
as you said, it's really, I'm just putting it into words, everything that I was feeling as
Mhm.
you were speaking. Ah,
Thank you. Yeah, because that's the true intimacy that we seek, right? In ourselves and in the arms of Mother, in the arms of the original codes of love that we came in with. The thing before we all got distorted and told that we were just, I don't know. I don't, it's like so foreign to me now. It's like all the lies we get told about being a human, it's just madness. And it's almost like one of the reasons why I talk about us opening the embrace for men is because they've been taken further away from the heart than us.
mm,
They've been told that to be an emotional man, to feel a man who feels emotion
mm,
is weak.
mm.
And to get through that gauntlet, that ego death, they need to be able to feel some semblance of the feminine around
Yeah,
them. If we want them to tap into their feminine aspect or that energy of the heart, because I believe that masculine and masculine, feminine is feminine, but to be connected to their hearts,
yeah,
then we have to be in our hearts. It's just not rocket science. It's like we have to be the signal.
that's right.
We have to be the signal because men have been, yeah, told a number about emotion and the heart and what it means to have those two centers, especially the heart and the cock,
Yes.
connected.
Mm,
Like it's some weird thing, even if you have a one night stand with a woman that you come with full love. It's like the fear in some men when you say that. It's like, you mean can I open my heart? What do you mean? Gotta love you? It's like, yeah. Even if you come in for one day, it's like, yeah, you got to bring love into the room.
that's
Sorry,
right.
I'm not
That's
letting
right.
anything else in. I am not any longer processing your unprocessed emotions in my womb. Sorry,
That's right.
I am
That's
not
right.
doing that. And neither should any other woman. We are not dumping grounds for
No.
unprocessed feelings. We will assist you to feel if you come with your vulnerability and believe that we can also hold the feel for you to surrender
Yeah.
into to die to the old way of being. And in turn, it's like a figure eight. And then
Yes.
we can open and blossom like women because they immediately then can stand in their full power. And it's like there is no need for, like you said, this whatever it is that we're doing. And I know our wounding is in the way. And yes, my wounding comes up all the time when I come into a relationship, but
Yes.
I'm able to hold it and say, this is what I am feeling. It's not about
Yes.
them. I am feeling this and I'm feeling really shaky. And I'm just going to be with it until it settles. But I want you to understand that this is what's coming up for me. Can we
Yeah.
be that vulnerable and open
Yeah.
without rejecting it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 I mean, I came here to talk, but I'm loving listening to you.
Sorry, I know. Sorry, I always get carried away.
I'm just like, I'm just like sitting here, just like in
Oh,
awe
yeah.
of the energy.
It's all right. Yeah. I really want to hear from you. I do. Around how you see the masculine and feminine dynamics, because I know you've spoken a lot about it as well.
And yeah, and very similar to you. And so the so many challenges here. And I know, like, even if we're black across the pond, culturally there are like differences, right? And so there's so much of it is around power.
Mhm.
Really, I think at the end of the day, it's a misguided understanding of what power is, and it's this desire for external power because again, that's all we know. All we know
Mhm.
is colonialism. All we know is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of power that we think power is. So that means someone has to be on top.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, someone has to be on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And the way society has it set up, it's that women are supposed to be on the bottom. And so there are so many conversations around, what does a man do? Is to provide and protect, and women like, stay at home, and we should have relationships like our grandparents had, not realizing that our grandparents were not all that happy, but they
Mm-hmm.
had no choice but to be together. You didn't hear them arguing because A, you weren't around.
Mm-hmm.
B, they just were resigned to their fate. So there's romanticizing what
Mm-hmm.
we never knew because we just don't have a blueprint anymore. But we can create one if we just go within the self and start studying your own internal ways of being. Do your shadow work, but basically means own all of your ick,
Mm-hmm.
and be honest about it and know that your power doesn't come from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from you internally. And I think when we start to do that, then we can shift these very awkward, strange dynamics that I also grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
right? Men, this, woman, that, and in terms of making the role so black and white that many men felt pigeonholed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that women weren't free.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that the only times men fully express is during sports slash war and sex,
Mm-hmm.
um, that they don't have any freedom to be expressive outside of those arenas. And the fact that women think that now it's either I can't stand men, I'm not dating, the pool is trash, or I'm just gonna be submissive and, you know, like as though those are the only two ways of being. It's not sustainable for the collective. And so I think when we need to really deal with this idea of power and what that looks like
Mm-hmm.
for both masculine and feminine energy, I think we need to understand what masculine and feminine energy are, how they complement each other,
Mm-hmm.
how they heal each other,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of looking at it from this transactionary
Mm-hmm.
point of view, which I think is where everybody's at right now. It's a transaction. You do for me, I do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not I do for you. No, you do for me. And then,
Yeah.
you know, I do for you. And that's not sustainable. And that's certainly not love.
No, it's not. Yeah. That word you use, like collaboration, I think you said, how they.
That works. Yeah, I don't even remember what I just
No, I don't remember. Like you, I was like drifting.
said. We're here listening to the energy. No idea what the words were.
I don't know what it was, but in my mind, what I saw was yes, that'll complement, yeah, how they
Yes.
complement each other. They're coming together. It's not a war between the sexes that we've been told, or women need to be try and be like you to get equality to be a man. It's like, no, we have specifics. They have the specifics, and they come together like they just come together. It's like the chord of a kettle and the kettle. One carries the water, the other heats the water. It's like as simple as that. One can't be the chord and the electric can't be the kettle. Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
And that's it. They work together. That's the
Yes,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I posted this thing. It just reminded me. I was like, women are the socket, right? And men
Mhm.
are the plug, like,
Oh, yeah.
right? And it's like the plug needs to come
Yeah.
in and fit in. We
Hmm.
don't need to be out here, you know,
Yes.
exhausting ourselves. No,
Hmm.
just be.
Yes. Because women are
Be.
magnetic. And
Yes.
like you said, the plug comes to us. That's what I was
That's
wanting to
right.
say when I was saying about the sperm. The sperm comes to the
That's
egg. We
right.
don't
That's
go,
right.
we don't take our eggs out and go, do you like these eggs? It's like, no, it's an embodied thing as a woman.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then we
That's right.
magnetize the masculine
That's
to
right.
us because we're,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. And that's where what a lot of what I teach when it comes to sex magic
Mm,
is really women unraveling who they think they are
mhm,
because we are magnetic. And what brought me into this work is realizing what I magnetized in my marriage.
mhm.
And so what was I putting out? Right? Because we are magnetic. And it's, people get caught up in there's some of this stuff that's just like, well, don't you're blaming the victim. First of all, I'm not blaming
No.
me for what I went
Mhm,
through. I'm understanding my part
mhm,
and what I was bringing to me and why, so that I could shift it so
mhm.
I wouldn't keep making the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah.
So I had to look at, I know that we're magnetic. I knew that even then. I've been studying chakras but I didn't understand that really I drew him to me. I didn't understand I drew him to me so that I could expand my power. And
Mhm,
but when I work with women, part of the reason we go slow and we do what we do and we do a lot of shadow work and a lot of work around shame and guilt is
mhm,
because then if that's not cleared out of the space, and I say it's like clearing a field to plant. If
mhm.
I buy a piece of land and there are weeds everywhere and the soil is rocky and I think I want to plant something there and have it grow, something's going to grow. But it might not be the tomato I thought it was.
Mhm,
Some weird thing is going to grow.
mhm,
In order for something to grow that we desire, we got to clear the field first. We got to make the soil fertile for the correct seeds to
mhm,
be planted and to grow. So that's a lot of the work that we do, so that when we do magnetize to us, it
mhm,
is more of a reflection of what we actually desire versus it being a reflection of the culmination of our pain and
mhm.
suffering
Yeah.
and all of the stories we were told about who we are and who we're not and what we're capable of and what we deserve and what we're worth. No, it's more reflective of the fact that we are walking God on this earth.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's why we have to do that work first.
Mhm,
And the men also need to do that work as well so that they're clear as they're navigating. Because some of them are choosing a reflection of their pain and wondering
mhm.
why they keep ending up in the same, and they're out here blaming women
Yeah.
for the fact that they are choosing reflections of their mother wound,
Of the
which is a
mother.
whole other discussion that people
Yeah.
don't want to have because, especially in the Black community, you just don't talk
Yeah.
about your mother
Yeah.
in any way that
Hmm.
might assume she made a mistake. But
Hmm.
many men are walking around with
Yeah.
wounds from their mothers
Hmm.
that have to be addressed.
Completely. Yeah. It's a big one, the mother wound, for men and women. It took me a lot to
Yes.
write my book around the mother wound. Because,
Yes.
like you said, it's like, oh, you want me to say what about my mother and me as a mother? It's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
revealing.
yeah,
But that's the core wound, right?
it
And
is.
I really want to just hone in on that because I think when a lot of people hear about sacred sexuality or sexual empowerment work or sex magic or things, they think is, oh, it's going to be kinky. But it isn't. It's doing the nitty inward work first. All these like woundings that we need to to be able to clear the way, clear the field, like you said, that needs to be honored and honed and recognize that it's a big part of the work. And I really want people to listen when Maisha's talking about the fact that for women, learning to remove the shame, the guilt, the fear, all those things, and really understanding what magnetism is the work.
Mhm.
It is the work. And Maisha does it in such a beautiful way. And I really hope that, you know, you listen to all that we said from a real felt sense of being and let it move through you, let it shake through you, let it shake loose that no longer serves and that's in the way so that you can come into yeah, so you can just come back home to yourself. And I know Maisha, like I said, I've been in her spaces and she holds impeccable energy. And, you know, the women that I allow to hold me are big women, as in they have potent energy fields. And so I really, advocate for the women that I'm bringing on because they have something to give in a real deep, loving, held, compassionate way. They carry the siren of the mother. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that your sound is going out in the world in this way. Um, yeah. I'm just feeling if there's anything else you kind of want to say before we wrap up.
I mean, honestly, I'm honored to be here in your space. As much as everything that you said to me is as much the same that I feel about you and the wisdom, the very ancient wisdom. I think I told you this once that you were like aside from the tree, but you're like the void. You're like the primordial beginning of time is what I hear. When I hear you speak, when I hear your voice, the vibration, the frequency of like I could just listen to you talk. And it is something so before that is now pulling through you and it draws me in to hear what you have to say and it runs through me like absolutely yes. And so I'm honored to be here with you because your energy is it is the mother. It is.
Mm.
So
Thank,
thank you.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's taken a lot to embody, like I said, but it's like I have arrived and I'm so happy that this, it brings through creation like this in this way, and I can co-create with others in this way. Um, I'd love you to let everyone know how they can get hold of you and, you know, the offerings that you've got going on at the minute, because you did mention them earlier, but let's just say them again.
Yeah, sure. So I ended up with two separate things that I was doing, which I was like, no. But, but Black Lotus Tantra community is my private community where I teach, where women can come together. There's a general membership that women can come into the community on with a 7-day trial. And then within that, I also do have different offerings. Right now, I'm doing a pilot of the Magick Academy with the members who are already there, and it works me. It holds me accountable to my own practices, which I absolutely love, and the human in me is like, oh, so we're doing that practice. And then I do have something coming up in April, but I'm still working on it. And then I also have sensual energy alchemy, which is what a lot of people know me for, and that provides one-on-one coaching workshops. It's where I do my public speaking. So I have the group community, and then I have the one-on-one and the public speaking portion. But you can, if you go to Sensual Energy Alchemy or Black Lotus Tantra on
Mhm.
Instagram or visit blacklotustantra.community.life, you'll be able to get more information.
And can I just check, because before you used in your sensuality work, you've worked with men before. Are you still doing that now? Um,
Not currently. It dips in and out, but currently the focus feels like it's women. There will be a time when I will bring men in, but feel like I want to have more women working with me with the men.
okay, got you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a vision I have that is in my mind and in terms of healing the men that I feel like requires a
Mhm.
circle of women.
Amazing. Yeah, a circle of women.
Yeah.
Yeah, had the
And
same.
I'm sorry, I say that because when it's one-on-one, I think men still get too caught up
Yeah.
in like, oh, the lust portion of
Hmm.
things. But when it's a
Yeah.
circle of women,
Yeah.
there's a way in which he has to surrender
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
what's happening and allow himself to be held by all of that love.
Hmm. Yeah. I've had the same vision too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 very much. So, yeah, women holding the men through the process
Yeah.
and the ratio of,
Yeah.
it's more
Mhm.
than one, yeah, one on one. Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, so I'm so grateful that you've been, and I will have Maisha's information when the podcast goes out in a couple of weeks' time, with all the links to where you can get hold of her and her full bio, so you can find out more about this amazing woman and her work. Um, Thank you so much for being a guest, and
So honored.
yeah, deeply appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Sirens of the Mother, podcast where we wax lyrical about all things mother, from the divine to the downright dirty.